world of motorcycles, where speed and precision define legends, one name has constantly echoed through time: Yamaha. Born from a legacy of craftsmanship and innovation, Yamaha began as a builder of instruments, crafting symphonies of sound. But the roar of engines soon replaced the melodies of strings, and Yamaha set its sight on a new stage: the open road. With the heart of a warrior and the mind of an engineer, Yamaha broke barriers, dominating racetracks and redefining the relationship between man and machine, carrying the soul of a racer and the promise of adventure. Yamaha isn't just a brand, it's a call to those who crave the thrill of speed, the freedom of the ride, and the art of precision. Entering the 2024 Yamaha R15 V4. A machine that doesn't just raise the bar, it obliterates it. Forged from the DNA of Yamaha's MotoGP beasts, the R15 is a symphony of power, precision, and cutting-edge technology. With its aerodynamic design, advanced features like traction control, and a heart that beats with unrelenting aggression, the R15 V4 transforms every ride into a masterpiece. Forged from the DNA of Yamaha's MotoGP beasts like the R1, the design structure and the aerodynamics really give this bike its sharp looks. So now let's get into the specs on the Yamaha R15 V4. The Yamaha R15 is a motorcycle with cutting-edge technology, powered by a 155cc fuel-injected SOHC variable valve actuation engine, delivering 18 horsepower at 10,000 RPM and 14.2 Newton meters of torque at 7,500 RPM. It has a 6-speed slipper clutch gearbox, allowing riders to have better control over the motorbike, and it also prevents the rear wheels from locking up. Built on a Delta box frame, the R15 V4 boasts front USD forks and linked rear monoshock absorbers. It's paired with dual channel ABS, disc brakes, 280mm at the front and 220mm at the rear. The bike's MotoGP inspired aerodynamic design also comes with LED headlights at the front, rear LED tail lights, a fully digital LCD instrument cluster with Yamaha Y-Connect technology, so you can connect your phone to the motorbike via Bluetooth. Additional features like traction control and tubeless tires with 140/70 at the rear and 100/80 at the front. With a curb weight of 142 kilos, a fuel tank capacity of 11 litres and a top speed of around 140 to 150 kilometers an hour, the R15 V4 also offers impressive mileage of approximately 40 to 45 kilometers a litre. Priced at 596,000 techa, this bike really sets a benchmark for the 150cc segment. So obviously, specs and whatnot don't mean nothing unless I take you on an actual test drive and give you my personal opinion on the motorcycle. Now it's time for the POV test ride. I'll give you guys an insight of what it's like to ride in a first person point of view. Here we go. I mean, straight off the bat, obviously riding this bike, it just feels so good, man. Obviously, because there's nothing better than riding a brand new bike. And I mean, one thing that I'd noticed straight away is the handlebar placement. It's more at an angle than it is straight like the Taro GP, which gives you that elbow tucking capability. So you're able to tuck your elbows in and get a better riding position than the Taro GP and certain bikes like that in the segment. And wow, these brakes are just wonderful. The riding position on this bike is so low. You really have to tuck in, and obviously it's such a joy to ride, but it will get on your nerves if this is the bike that you gotta keep riding every day as a daily ride. If you're gonna make this bike an everyday daily rider, because obviously it's got such a committed seating position. I mean, wow, these brakes, man. These brakes are wonderful. And obviously because the suspension. And because of the BVA engine, the S2HC BVA engine, it really does a good job at delivering power at the low rev range. I can't really complain about it. It's got such a wow factor. Now I can understand why this is such a popular bike in Bangladesh. Yeah, man, it's got a nice amount of grip. With other Taro GP, because of its weight and the suspension itself, it really spins its wheels when you put a full throttle. But this bike does a good job at delivering power at the low rev range and at the highest point of the rev range. And obviously when I read the spec sheet, when it said 10,000 RPM to get the maximum horsepower of 18 horsepower, I was thinking this bike you really have to rev it out, but it's nothing like that. It's a completely different animal once you're actually riding it in real life. Brakes are nice on this bike, man. Brakes nice. I mean, to add to the braking factor, obviously. And the bike is so light. I can literally maneuver it without having to feel like I've got to push up a flipping elephant. What I noticed with the Taro GP is when I'm trying to turn it around in the middle of the road, I've got to really put a lot of power through my legs. Whereas this, I can literally push with my leg once and the whole bike will turn. I mean, this bike is just perfect. The bike is lightweight. It's got a nice amount of power for its segment. The power delivery is great. The suspension setup is absolutely out of this world. For a 155cc motorcycle, I don't think you'll get a better suspension setup anywhere else. And obviously the braking setup, dual channel ABS at both the front and the rear with some big disc brakes. That's some really nice setup, and this bike is an absolute stunning performer. And with this committed riding position, it doesn't really bother me as much. But we can't keep taking myself in as a factor. We got to take the general public in as a factor. And not a lot of people would be happy getting into this committed riding position, as it can hurt your back. Well, not hurt your back, it might cause you a bit of back pain. For me, I like sporty bikes. I like the sporty rideable bike. So for me, I think this is like the best that you can ever get. And yeah, man, I like how the tank, it helps tuck in my legs nicely. And one thing that I do like about this bike, it's got a short throttle. So, whereas with certain other bikes, they have a longer throttle rotation, whereas this has got like a short throttle rotation. And there's really no need to give this a quick throttle modification, because it just does a great job by stock. It's just so smooth on the pickups, man. And the gear shift is just so smooth. The slipper clutch really does a great job at tidying up the back tires from locking up. And wow, so comfy over these bumpy roads. It's a great job at really soaking in the bumps and the broken bits of the road. And one thing that I realized with this bike, and it just feels so good, is when you really start twisting your throttle on the bike, the back suspension sags, allowing there to be a better power output from the back wheel, and it's just, you could really feel it. It's like it's almost going to lift the front wheels up. But for a 155cc engine, man, this bike is such a thrill to ride. And I don't think there's any other bike that's better than this bike. Obviously, I heard that the GSXR is like the fastest bike in a segment, but it's not always about speed. It's about how it makes you feel. Hands down the best motorcycle you can get. And the pricing really says a lot about what you're going to be getting, what this motorcycle includes when you get it. Because you got the fully digital instrument cluster, you got the LED lights at the front, the LED tail lights at the back. And yeah, man, it's just such a great touch. That's the test ride done with the motorcycle. We're going to get into 3 pros and 3 cons about this bike. First pro on this bike is the looks. The aerodynamic look, the streamlined MotoGP styling is something that catches the eyes for every rider and any pedestrian walking by. Pro number 2 is the LED lighting on both the front and the rear, and the digital instrument cluster provides quite a bit of information, obviously, if you're toggling through the buttons. And the third pro is the exceptional stability handling because of the Delta box frame. Makes quite a big difference in the bike's stability, and obviously with the suspension setup and the brake setup, it gives this bike the ultimate wow factor that you don't really get in a lot of bikes, and the wow factor that I've been searching for, this bike has all of it. Now we've gone on to the 3 cons on the R15 V4. First con has got to be the small pillion seat. I wouldn't recommend you ride with a second passenger with the seat because it is small and it's not really padded as well, so it's going to be quite uncomfortable for the rear passenger. I'd say you get a full-on seat cowl for this, a plastic seat cowl, make it a single-seater motorcycle. And obviously the next one is the aggressive riding position. For a lot of people this bike will be a backbreaker. For me it's alright, but for the general public this might not be a bike that you could daily ride with all the time. And obviously the last con on this bike has got to be the price. Almost 600,000 tekha. This bike is not affordable for a lot of people in Bangladesh. That's it for the review on the 2024 R15 V4. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new, and I will catch you guys on my next ride. Peace.